Good morning from Sittingbourne Station, where I've just gotten off that train from London and I'm about to get on that train way down there towards the Isle of Sheppey, which is technically Kent's only branch line railway. And yes, I have trimmed my beard, by the way, and if it wasn't already noticeable enough. Pulling into Swale Station, which is the only intermediate stop on this line which I've used, which is almost ironic because it's the least used on the line. We'll use the other stations later, but I've never seen a stop with no seats or shelters. It's definitely one of the most barren stations in the country. And we are now on to the Isle of Sheppey. And I've made it to the end of the line at Sheerness-on-Sea. And the reason why I say it's Kent's only branch line railway is because although there are probably some stations in Kent with a terminating platform or they might have a buffer, they're pretty much all through stations, and you can get southeastern services from London that essentially loop around the entire coast and then back towards London. Whereas this is the only one where trains come in and their only direction out is to go back out. Now I should point out that there is a branch line to Hayes, and ticketing do say Hayes brackets Kent, although that station is definitely in London nowadays, so that doesn't count. And there are also freight railways, which also don't count because they're not passenger lines, like the brilliantly named 100 of Hugh line, and then also one we saw only a couple of weeks ago at Ebbsfleet. Now the Sheerness branch opened in 1860, but this opened in 1883, so this is not the original station. It's not the nicest station in the world. There's not really a whole lot to it for a seaside station. So I've walked on down to the site of the original station, and brilliantly, there is actually a little bit of old track remaining. The reason why the railway came here was to serve the docklands, and there is actually an entirely separate settlement around here called Bluetown, but this wasn't really best suited for Sheerness's town, so the current station completely replaced it by 1922. There's a great information board here that you can't really read. Perhaps it says something about the old railway. Now Bluetown's actually a very sleepy place. It's a little run down, but also quite quaint in parts as well. There's an old bricked up entrance here to part of the docklands. The factory would have been here. And of course, I can't come to a place called Sheerness-on-Sea and not at least come and see the sea. The sea is really starting at this point, to be honest, because just over there is where the River Thames and the River Medway are meeting. And then beyond that point, it's just the sea. This is wonderful. I feel like trying to get down there to get a proper shot of the waves. So I would be looking out towards Southend at this point, and then the Isle of Grain will be just over there, separated by the River Medway. Wow, there's some great old Martello towers, isn't that what they're usually called? These circular defence structures. They're even protected by a moat, partly ruined nowadays. That's great to see though. It's actually a really nice quiet spot on the coast because you're away from the town, you're tucked up right beside the docks and the River Medway. I think this is actually where Ed Pratt ended his Source to Sea adventure along the River Thames. That's a fun series to watch on YouTube if you've not before. And from here, I'm actually going to part ways with the railway for now, as I'm going to catch a bus, the 360, to the other end of the Isle of Sheppey in Leysdown. Hiya, can I get a return to Leysdown, please?
I'll do it over the
Okay, I'll do the second then, please. So I've made it to Leysdown. The island is bigger than I thought it was. It took about an hour on the bus from Sheerness, but then again it does weave its way down and back from a hospital and a prison along its route. And I have been here before when I was a 7-year-old boy, because my family stayed out here for a couple of nights in a caravan, and they're actually doing the same right now, but I've just come out here for the day instead. I don't think I remember it, to be honest. So I might not film too much whilst I'm here in Leysdown, but I will later on once we're back on the railway line to Sheerness. I'm not trekking down there to get a wave shot right now. I wasn't going to come to the sea and not actually go in it. It's a rite of passage. Kind of have to. Oh, it's very muddy underfoot. Hang on. I'm actually, like, my feet are like stuck. Balancing is going to be very tricky to try and show you my muddy foot. Ah, there you go, you get some rust. So I'm back on the bus, the last one of the night back to Sheerness. It's been nice to spend a few hours with family out at Leysdown, wandering around by the coast, though I can't help but feel it would have been a lot easier to get back to London back in the day, because there was once a light railway that ran out to Leysdown, but it closed all the way back in 1950. Saying that though, I am the only one on the bus. It's like I've got my own private chauffeur to get me back to Sheerness. I feel like I said that word weird. Anyways. Well, it's time to get back on the trains and visit the 2 remaining stations on the Sheerness branch line. But first, I had enough time before my train that I had to come down to the sea one last time. I like this mural made up of all different photos. It was unveiled in September 2010. I'm fairly certain that I first came here on the 1st of September that same year, because I believe this is like the oldest ticket which I still have in my collection. And our first station is Queenborough, which is the second and final station on the Isle of Sheppey. Right beside the station lies the site of the former Queenborough Castle, which now makes me wonder whether that name quite literally means the Queen's Borough. This says the castle is the reason the town exists, but it doesn't necessarily give you a history of where that name came from. There have been some queens of the castle though, including Queen Elizabeth I. Wow, is that what it looked like? That's quite modest looking, but also rather fairy tale-esque, perhaps? Now I have had just enough time to come up to the swale, and what a perfect time it is, literally just as the sun is setting. The swale is the river which cuts the island off from the mainland, and it's making its confluence with the River Medway here, which of course is flowing towards Sheerness where it becomes the sea. Now I should point out that I have been here before. My history with the Isle of Sheppey dates to 3 different visits. My first one in 2010, the second time was in 2018 when I fancied a revisit to Sheerness because I didn't really get to explore it the first time because we headed out to Leysdown instead. And that was when I used Swale Station because I was intrigued with how rural it was, and I'd also known about a disused railway branch that would have been for freight trains only, and you can still see that today running across the marshes. And the last time I came here was in 2021, where I essentially walked the Sheerness branch. So I started at Sittingbourne, I headed up along the coast to Swale, crossed over the King's Ferry Bridge, and then came here to Queenborough, where I also went to visit another disused freight branch out to Queenborough Pier. Well, actually, no, this was a passenger station that closed in 1923, and the tracks remained on it. But there was a lot of kind of like shipping containers and stuff on there, so I don't know if they were doing some sort of restoration or construction. It was open, and I feel like I shouldn't have really been there. And then as I was walking away from it, a van was driving up to it, so perhaps I got off just in time. And then I came to the station, to the castle, and walked up alongside the swale here towards Sheerness.
We will shortly be arriving at the swale.
So there we go, that is all of the stations on Kent's only passenger branch line railway, and I end at Kemsley, which is the newest station on the line, opening in 1927. Queenborough is the only original remaining station from 1860, and Swale has had a bit of a potted history because it initially opened in 1913 as a staff halt, built purely for the person who worked on King's Ferry Bridge, but then it opened permanently in 1922 when a ship collided with the bridge and they had to build a temporary station north of the Swale so that people can still cross over the river. Now, Kemsley is actually where the two trains pass each other and they provide a half-hourly service. Well, they did all day up until COVID, where it was dropped to an hourly service, and the half-hourly service is only during the peak. But they are looking to bring that back permanently, I think in the next timetable change, which is next month in May. If it's not this one, it will be the December one, which is good. That allowed me half an hour at Queenborough, but now that it's gotten dark and the peak hours are finished, the next train from here will be in 1 hour. So it's probably best for me to actually walk to Sittingbourne and catch a train to London from there. All of the lights on the platform just dimmed because everyone had moved and left, and I'm just standing here remaining and doing my piece to camera. So as soon as I walk again, the lights will turn on. Right, let's leave the station then, and I'm sure the lights will turn back on again. No? Oh, there we go. It sensed me last second. Oh, one last thing quickly before I go. I didn't know this, but it seems that during the peak, every other train stops at Swale. But I'm fairly certain that back in the day, all of the half-hourly services stopped there. So I guess we'll have to wait and see when the timetable change occurs, what will Swale's frequency be. Yeah, I don't know. Is it worth stopping all the trains there? I mean, you might as well. It's not like you're losing any time. You're still providing a half-hourly service if it stops there or not. But is it worth it? Do enough people use it? I mean, imagine you make the Sheerness train, you're like, brilliant! Oh wait, this one doesn't stop at Swale, I have to wait half an hour. It'd be a bit annoying, right? And by taking this walk, I get to pass across just a tiny little bit of Milton Creek Country Park, which is nice to do so even in the dark. And I might not have had enough time to come down here if I only had a half an hour wait at Kemsley station. On this walk also, I get to pass by the Sittingbourne and Kemsley light railway, which is almost fitting because we didn't get to see Leysdown's light railway earlier. I tried to get some shots of some of the narrow gauge rail bridges that the trains take, but it's very dark, you couldn't see them that well. And so I've made it to Sittingbourne station for the same train I would have caught anyways if I had just waited at Kemsley. But I didn't exactly want to do that for an hour in the cold. Now, if I had gone earlier, yes, I would have only been there for half an hour, but it's nice to spend some more time with family because I don't get to see some of them that often. I like to make the most of the day anyways. If I'm out, I'm out, even if I get home at midnight. It won't quite be that late, but you get what I mean. Now, if my family weren't out on the Isle of Sheppey, I would have ticked off Queenborough and Kemsley station another time when I took a walk along the Saxon Shore Way, which is essentially the Kent coast path from Newington to Swale. Because when I walked to Sheerness from here before in 2021, I did walk along the Saxon Shore from here to Swale, and I have done a section from Newington to Gillingham. I was going to say Gravesend then, not Gravesend, Gillingham. So that walk would very much be like the missing piece of the puzzle, which we will still do at some point. But I just probably won't visit Kemsley and Queenborough that day. Maybe we can revisit Sheerness, end that walk at the sea. That would be nice. But alas, I wait for my train home, and I'll probably throw this video in the Visiting Every Station playlist. Although I've only visited 2 new stations today, I have at least featured 4. And 4 is usually the minimum requirement for a video to make that playlist. Because I can't exactly put this in the Kent walks or the coast walks playlist, because it wasn't a proper walk today. It was just kind of dotting around all over the place, really. But that's admin stuff anyways, you don't need to worry about that. Thank you for watching today's video. There'll be more coming soon, and we are getting closer to station 1000. Looking forward to that. But I don't quite know what station will earn that achievement yet. Well, at least I beat the train from Kemsley. The second time in 2018, I got a tear running down my face from the wind.